Hey, this is Mike Hambright with Homevestors, the We Buy Ugly Houses folks, and I want to tell you, the main reason I got into real estate investing was to accumulate rental properties so that I could build passive income for myself and my family. That's our retirement plan. That's going to allow me to retire much earlier than most people consider retiring. And so I'd like to share a quick video with you on some information as to the power of owning rental properties, what you should look for in buying rental properties, and I also want to walk you through the last 5 rental properties that I purchased myself. And we've been able to pick them up at some fantastic prices. When you're a real estate investor like I am, and if you're with the Homevestors team, these are the types of properties you get access to. So simply fill out the form below and we're going to continue this discussion. So first I want to go through a presentation that I've given a number of times live, and I'd like to help you understand what you should be looking for in a rental property, different types of rental properties, things that fit your lifestyle and your goals. So let's dive into that.
So just a quick overview on some strategies, things to think about when you're looking at rental properties, whether you're looking to get into it or grow, expand from where you are now. But there's a lot of obvious benefits of owning rental properties. Cash flow, long-term appreciation, there's a lot of tax benefits, help reduce your taxable income. There's just some great financial benefits to owning rental properties. There's a lot of potential headaches too that you got to consider. What I will say is it's like a lot of things, it gets better as you get more volume. If you have just a rental or two and you manage it yourself, it's a bit of a nightmare because you never get any scale. And really with any business, it's hard to ever be successful if you can't get some sort of scale. But all that comes down to a lot of what your goals are. So a few things I want to talk about here quickly are some different types of markets, because depending on where you're at in the country or where you're buying, there are very different types of rental markets. Those that provide immediate cash flow, which is the only thing I know, it's the only thing that I have an interest in, but there are folks in different parts of the country that focus on long-term appreciation, and of course I count on that as well, but I wouldn't be willing to speculate or count on long-term appreciation unless there was also immediate cash flow. And then there's different types of what I'll call classes of rental properties, and so this is just my definition here, but it's loosely in line with the way that a lot of professional real estate investors of rental properties think of things. So let's jump in and talk about some of those things. So in an immediate cash flow market, these are houses that you can purchase, repair, rent the property, and you're going to get immediate cash flow from. So your mortgage payment and all your expenses is greater than your rental income, and that's how it is for all of my rentals. Everybody has, if you have a portfolio, you have some properties that are better than others, but generally speaking, mine tend to cash flow very well. I don't even manage them myself, so I pay a property manager, and they still cash flow quite nicely after vacancy expenses, after maintenance expenses, and after property management expenses. The typical markets that tend to be the best for properties you can buy and cash flow immediately are really throughout the Midwest, Southeast, Texas, really just kind of staying away from the East and West Coast where property values are much higher. There's a ratio of kind of the amount of rent you receive on a property to the value of the property, and it just tends to be quite a bit higher in areas that have lower priced properties. So in some areas on the coasts, it's hard to even get enough rent to cover your mortgage on higher dollar properties. Talk about appreciation. It's the exact opposite of what I just said. So in some areas, notably the coasts, the East and West Coast, where it's hard to get enough in rent to pay for your costs. So if you're renting out a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 house, it's going to tend to not cash flow, all else equal, anywhere close to what, let's say, $60,000 or $80,000 house in Texas would. Said another way, if you bought 10 $60,000 houses in Texas or in the Midwest somewhere versus one $600,000 house in Southern California, it's probably going to rain much more cash flow. And quite frankly, you've got you don't have all your eggs in one basket. Then you've got 10 properties instead of one. So of course you've got 10 tenants to deal with instead of one as well. So you got to consider all those things. And then there's speculative markets, and those happen, sometimes on the coast. It also happens in every market in the country. There are certain parts of town that may be up and coming, or it may be something that you speculate that I'm going to rent this property out now, but I have a hunch that everything around it's going to go commercial, and somebody's going to come in and buy up all this land and do something with it. So it's really kind of a bookmark. You're speculating that you're going to buy this property, and some substantial increase in value is going to happen because of something down the line. Sometimes folks have an inside track on what may or may not happen, but it's quite frankly, it's a gamble. That's why they call it speculation. So in some instances, those may cash flow, they may not cash flow, but the investor is primarily buying it because they're speculating on substantial appreciation. So I want to talk a bit about what I'll call a rental class, and that is, an ABC class, D. I know some people that kind of specialize in each of these. Again, just like with different type of rental markets, these tend to cash flow better the lower down the totem pole you go, but the further down the totem pole you go, you have more issues to deal with. Generally, not as high of a quality a tenant, maybe a lot more turnover, maybe a lot more maintenance issues. So an A-class property would tend to be an above median price point, sometimes well above median price point for the market that you're in. So an A-class property tends to be a more affluent person that may get upset about, call you to change a light bulb. I found some paint on the back of a door handle somewhere. That's the challenge with higher class properties, is that tenants have much higher expectations, and those tend to not cash flow as well, again, because they tend to be a little bit higher dollar properties. B-class properties are more of a working class, middle class neighborhoods where the tenants are generally stable, they tend to cash flow well, and it just tends to be kind of a solid neighborhood that is not the nicest neighborhood in town, but you're not in the hood either. C-class property is kind of the next level down, so it might be 60 to 75% of the median price point. This tends to be, more of definitely a working class neighborhood. Folks are changing their own oil in the neighborhood and out in the driveway, and you just tends to be a little bit rougher, but still, good hard-working folks that need a place to live. And so that's the beauty of the rental market, is everybody needs a place to live. And one of the other beauties, I'll say, of getting down into the C and D class, I personally am more of a C class person, but at the C class level, you've got a lot of folks that have just been displaced by the real estate market over the last few years. They cannot generally get loans on houses, and therefore these may be lifelong renters at this point, because I'm not sure the market is ever going back to where it was before. And then you got D-class properties, and possibly even less. You're in the hood, you're going to see a lot of board ups, maybe some bars on the windows. These actually tend to cash flow much better given for a given investment, but again, more tenant issues, a little bit harder to manage, probably more turnover, and so you probably have some more expenses there too. Maybe more likely to get copper stolen, AC stolen, just more drama that you have to deal with. So you've got to decide what you want in your rental portfolio and balance it from there. A couple things to consider are really kind of matching your rental strategy to your lifestyle. What is it that you're trying to achieve financially and otherwise? Are you looking to actively manage your properties, or you want to be passive? So you've got to determine if you're going to manage them or not. A lot of folks cheap out and say, I'm just going to manage it myself. But I'll tell you, there's some expense associated with that in your time and taken away from your family, other things you could do. The fact that you probably can't turn a property around as fast as a good property manager can when you have turnover, in terms of being able to get the house ready or the apartment ready again to turn it around and have another tenant in there. And you also need to consider what your eventual exit strategy is going to be. So you're probably going to sell that house at some point. Is it 5 years from now? Is it 30 years from now? So just consider what that neighborhood might be like in 30 years from now. And also know that it's okay to change what your strategy is over time. I've changed mine. I started as really kind of a B class guy, and now I actually prefer more of a C class. So I think the important thing is just to kind of dive in and get started, and don't drag your feet. Don't think about it anymore. Don't overpay either, but just go ahead and get started. And it's okay to know that over time your strategy may change, and the way you manage your properties may change. All those things probably will change. So just get comfortable knowing that you're going to dive in, you're going to learn, and you're going to ebb and flow as you improve your knowledge over time.
Now I'd like to share with you the most recent 5 rentals that we've added to our rental portfolio, and these are some that are doing quite well already, and they're the newest members of our family. So here we go, let's dive in.
Hey, so I'd like to share with you some great rentals that we put into our portfolio recently. These are the most recent 5 rentals that we've put in. I think one problem that a lot of folks have is they think of try to make their rental properties as nice as a house they would live in, and I'll tell you that is just a flaw. Don't do that. So don't judge me based on my rental properties, but here they are, the most recent 5. So we got one here on Avenue A. We purchased for $27,500. I'm going to show you a little bit about the house here. Actually, a nice little house we did. We spent about 1 day painting it and had it on the market. We rented this within a matter of a couple days. So you can see it had some blue cabinets, some things that had to repaint, some kind of mustard colored walls here, I guess you'd call it, that I don't like, but somebody did because they rented this house right away. And just basic house. It actually had updates in the bathroom. It had granite tile, which was not the right place in this house, but was nicer than what it needed for this house, but that was fine. Things were generally in pretty good shape. Had a new HVAC system and a garage there back of the house. So great little rental property. Look forward to holding on to this one for a long time. Again, purchased that one for $27,500. The next one is on Avenue F. That is in a totally different city, just happens to have a similar name to the last one. But we purchased this house for $16,000. This was a much older house, needed some TLC, lots of paneling and popcorn on the ceilings, but that's okay. These are more C-class properties. Needed some TLC. Had wooden floors that won't say they were in great shape, but they were decent for this neighborhood. That doesn't look decent there, I guess, but again, not bad rentals. We had to clean these up a little bit, of course. Had a massive unattached garage behind the house. It was probably big enough for 3 cars and storage up above and everything, so one of the bigger garages I've seen. And again, purchased that one for $16,500. Next house is Quail Hollow. These pictures are all how the way they were when we purchased it, so they still have a lot of junk and stuff that had to be cleaned out, but these were the before pictures. Purchased this one for $38,900. We inherited all this stuff here that went immediately into a dumpster, but it was a clean little house. These houses tend to be dated and things like that, but that's okay. This was a handicap tub that we had to replace with a normal tub. Again, all the stuff, all the contents is gone, but a few little bumps and bruises, some cracks here and there, but you'll see that is okay for rental properties. Folks have a different level of expectation than when we retail our houses. So that's the end of that one on Quail Hollow. Purchased that one for $38,900. Probably overpaid a little bit for this one, by the way, but it'll still turn out to be a good rental. Purchased this one on Valley Forge for $26,000. This one needed a little TLC on the inside, so we spent probably about 2 weeks cleaning this one up. Replaced all the kitchen cabinets and appliances. We replaced these vanities and vanity tops. So that's that one. One more here. This one is on Whispering Trail. Purchased this for $13,000. We actually didn't have to spend a whole lot on this house. We probably spent another $5,000 to get it ready. With some updates included, I needed some new appliances because these were really worn out. but pretty, not, it was a decent house. You know, needs some work, they all do, but that's why we get them at great discounts. So that was that house. So I just wanted to share our most recent 5 with you. Thanks for following me along.
If you'd like to learn more about the power of the HomeVestor system, why I joined it, and how you could work as a member of my team, I mentor dozens of people from coast to coast. Simply click the button below and watch a webinar to learn more. Thanks.